Hello, it's Maundy Thursday. I've set up this table with some things that are symbolic and help us think about what Maundy Thursday is all about. Maundy Thursday is the day when we remember the Last Supper. The Last Supper was set up as a memorial meal remembering the Passover. The Passover is a celebration of the Exodus, the escape of God's people from Egypt. God sent a number of plagues, and the last one was going to bring death to the households of Egypt, the firstborn. But God told the Israelites to slaughter a lamb and then to smear that blood all over their doors. And in that way, death would pass over their houses. And yes, I have checked that will come off my door. And yes, I probably do have too much time on my hands at the moment. But at Passover, they roasted a lamb to celebrate and remember that lamb that was sacrificed so that death would not come to God's people. They probably had lamb at the Last Supper. What we know they definitely did have is bread. This is unleavened bread, bread made without yeast. That's a really important regulation in Passover. It still is today. My wife spent some time in Israel, and apparently during the Passover in McDonald's, the buns in the burger are replaced with these matzo crackers. That's how tight the regulations are. The bread needs to be unleavened because it's symbolic of the Israelites needing to leave Egypt in a hurry. But also, yeast is symbolic of sin in the Bible. In 1 Corinthians chapter 5, the Message version, we read this: "Our true identity is flat and plain, not puffed up with the wrong kind of ingredient. The Messiah, our Passover lamb, has already been sacrificed for the Passover meal, and we are the unraised bread part of the feast. So let's live out our part in the feast, not as raised bread swollen with the yeast of evil, but as flat bread, simple, genuine, unpretentious." Unleavened bread is symbolic for the way we're supposed to live our lives. Another thing that they would have had at the Last Supper, we know they had, was wine. At a Passover meal, you have 4 cups of wine, and each one symbolises something different. But actually something new started on Maundy Thursday at the Last Supper. Because as Christians, we don't celebrate a memorial meal for a lamb sacrificed for us. We celebrate a memorial meal now called communion, because we remember Jesus's sacrifice. And the important thing symbolically when it comes to the wine at communion is that there's one cup. All share in that one cup. At the Last Supper, even Judas shared wine with Jesus. Jesus died for all people, even for him, even for someone who was going to betray him for some coins. And that's how we get from the Passover to the Last Supper to Holy Communion. At the Last Supper on Maundy Thursday, we're given a new command. In fact, the word Maundy comes from the Latin word mandatum, meaning mandate or instruction. In Luke's Gospel, we read that Jesus shared the bread and the wine and said, "Do this in remembrance of me." John's Gospel takes a slightly different tack when it comes to the mandate, the new instruction. We read there that Jesus said, "A new command I give to you, love one another." So every year in the UK, the monarch hands out Maundy money to people, symbolic of love in action, symbolic of giving. And that just leaves us now with this one thing on our table. The Passover is an 8-day festival, and every night Jews recite something called the counting of the Omer, looking forwards to the next festival in 50 days' time, the Festival of Weeks. On Maundy Thursday, us Christians look forward to Good Friday and the sacrifice of Jesus. Then we look forward to Easter Sunday and the resurrection of Jesus. And then we look forward 50 days to Pentecost, which is a Greek word meaning 50 days. and the birth of a church. A group of people coming together in a small room, just like they had done on Last Supper, and forming a church based on what God had done in the past, what the Holy Spirit could inspire in the present, and what Jesus' sacrifice meant as we look forward to a future beyond this life.